Hey, lead freaks, it's Adon here, and today I want to talk to you about a series I'm going to be starting on a weekly basis. It's going to be between 3-4 times a week, and it's lead freak tactics. And today I'm going to talk to you about tactic number one. Now, there are a lot of different tactics when you get into creating leads and into prospecting, but where I'm going and where the message is within prospecting automation for the most part. And so that's going to start with email. Now there's email, there's phone, there's text, there's all kinds of things. But today we're going to talk about tactic number one. And when you start becoming a lead freak, and what that means to me is when you start to when you take on the identity that I am a prospector, that I prospect, that I study prospecting, that I embrace it. It's part of what I do. It's part of my identity. Sometimes we do things and it's not part of our identity. We don't embrace it. And so we don't become the best we can at it because we don't identify as that. So let me give you an example. There are people that you sit back and say, what are you? And they say, oh, I'm a guitar player. And there are people that say, I play guitar from time to time. Or, I dabble in the guitar. Well, that's not their identity. The other person says, I'm a guitar player. That's their identity. And so it's really important that when we get into prospecting, that I recognize that it's becoming a lead freak, meaning that it's part of our identity in growing our business. And growing our business, our territories is the utmost. So let's get started in today's tactic number one, and I call it pseudo email account. We'll get into that in just 1 second.
The one thing that companies need to survive is new business. But cold calling has less than a 2% success rate. And with the demands on salespeople's time to prospect, close new businesses, and maintain existing accounts are simply unrealistic in today's fast-paced, hyper-competitive market. Introducing LeadFreak, using AI to automate your prospecting using our built-in templates, newsletters, and videos to engage your leads. Automate top-of-the-funnel processes so you can focus your time on warm prospects that are familiar with your brand and have demonstrated interest. With social media, lead capture, emails, SMS, and phone capabilities, all your interactions live in one unified view. You no longer have to guess which leads are hot and most likely to convert. LeadFreak provides you with this data and notifies your salespeople which leads are actively engaging with your brand. Sign up for a free trial today. LeadFreak.ai. You're only one lead from gold.
All right, so today I want to talk to you about when you start getting into prospecting and it's going to become part of your identity. The one thing you really want to do is you want to make sure that you have a separate email account. Now, what do I mean by that? There are all kinds of different rules and legislations with regards to email, and every country is different. And based on those rules, different countries, the people that you might be prospecting to have different ideas in their head of what is acceptable to them. So you never know who you're dealing with. And even though you're just prospecting, you're not spamming, you're not sending spam messages and marketing saying, hey, today only $9.99, that type of thing, but you're actually prospecting. You don't want that one person, those few people in thousands, to complain that you're a spammer, because what that will do is, if you are labeled as a spammer, even though you're not, and someone sits back and starts complaining and labels you as a spammer, what can happen is that your URL gets tagged as a spam, and all the emails you do, the correspondence you do within your organization, will be labeled within Google and Yahoo and Bing, and these different internet providers will label you, or potentially label you, as a spammer. So now what happens is, let's say you have an email that's your daily email for corresponding with coworkers and things. Let's say it's Adon@adonrigg.com. Well, if I start emailing from that and I send it off to, let's say, I do 100 or 50, 60 emails a day asking people, can you tell me, are you in charge of doing your prospecting? And they go, for whatever reason, a few people over the next few weeks go, oh, it's a spam. Regardless if you're not or not, that means that Adon Rigg, but adonrigg.com as an example, in this case, or yourbusiness.com, will get labeled as a spam and go into the spam folders of nearly everyone you prospect to. So now what happens is when you're just doing an email within your coworkers, or you're emailing your customers or what have you, because you've been labeled a spammer, it goes into spam, and it's a nightmare, and it's very, very hard to get out of. So you don't want to do that. You want to have a separate email account for prospecting. Now, I recognize prospecting is not just email, but it is part of the process. And depending on your philosophy and your cadence or sequence, you might start off with an email followed up by a phone call or whatever it is. So you want to stay out of that dilemma. So what you want to do is you want to create a pseudo email. So let's say your business is yourbusiness.com. Well, what you want to do is go in and create an email address under something that is similar, but not youremail.com. So maybe it's yourbusinessinc.com or yourbusiness.io or yourbusiness.xyz, whatever it is. It could be Your Business Limited. It doesn't matter. It's still associated. So for me, as an example, I wouldn't prospect with adonrigg.com. I might prospect with Adon Rigg Inc., INC. Or I wouldn't prospect with leadfreak.ai. I would prospect with leadfreak.me or leadfreak.something. And so that's what you want to do. And it's very important that you do that. And the reason it's important is because, again, if you get caught and stuck into spam, you'll never get out of it. And no matter how authentic your emails are, no matter what you do, and hey, Bob, can you tell me, are you the person in charge of 1 out of 1,000 or 200 or 50, whatever it is, somebody's going to complain, and you run the potential of that happening. Now, there's no rhyme or reason, but it's just a potential hazard. It's a potential roadblock. It's a potential barrier to growing your business. So really, before you get into taking on the identity and being a prospector of something that you do, step number 1 is to create a pseudo email. Once you do that, then what you want to do is you want to make sure you're telling all the different platforms, Gmail, Yahoo, what have you, that your email is not spam. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode, is how to make sure and what you need to do to make your emails registered within the email providers that it's not spam. And we're going to go through that in the next episode. Stay tuned. You'll see it tomorrow. Adon Rigg with Lead Freak, and I hope this is of value to you. Talk to you tomorrow.